All right, we live, baby. We live. I want to welcome everybody to In the Loop with Lupus in Color and Lupus Live for Lupus Awareness Month. We will be speaking with Dr. Njeri Osbourne and a few about a great program that we're going to be having at the end of the month regarding lupus warriors and doctors and trying to get awareness really set up well for people to understand what lupus is and how it affects the body and things of that nature. So when she pops in, I'll be more than happy to put her in. In the meantime, and in between time, I'm so happy with this Lupus Awareness Month. We have so many great things planned for lupus awareness, and I hope that you join us at one or two events. Daily, we are giving out lupus facts, lupus tips, lupus affirmations, and we are also doing faces of lupus. I'm sure you've been seeing them on the Lupus in Color page. I'm sure you've been seeing them on my private page. We are doing faces of lupus and butterflies of hope, lupus warrior stories. So these are just some of the events that we're having. And then we have, of course, In the Loop, which is what we're doing today. This is our first In the Loop Lupus Live, where we'll be speaking with Dr. Osbourne in a few when she gets on. She's out of Kingston, Jamaica. Great young woman, such a hard worker, and she's so ready to support lupus awareness. This week, we're highlighting those who support lupus and those who support Lupus in Color. We're highlighting some people that just want to let you know that they are here for your support. They're here to give education. Tomorrow, we have Felicia Cassandra on, and she's going to be talking to us about loving the skin you're in. Tonight, we're talking to Dr. Osbourne about Diagnosis Lupus and what that will be at the end of the month for us. So, Diane has a question. What's your question, Diane? Let's show you that. So, while we're waiting on Dr. Osbourne, we can definitely answer your questions if I can. Diane says, I have some questions on the vaccine for lupus patients. Give me your question, Diane, and I will answer it. I'm sorry, Instagram. You can see my fingers while I type. So what's your question, Diane? I'm gonna type that in the area as well. I know a lot of people have questions about the um I know a lot of people have a question about the vaccines and how they work. I'll give you my story as we wait for Dr. Osborne. So that Diane asked, which one is recommended? Okay, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you that I personally received the Pfizer shot, and excuse me, and of course that's a series of two shots. And I consulted with my doctor, and he stated that it was okay for me, even though I've got some serious issues going on with my white blood count and everything like that. But my doctor said that it was okay for me to take it. Your doctor might recommend something totally different. So definitely speak with your doctor first. And before I just go on to answer those questions, right? I see another question in the chat. Before I go on to answer those questions, I'm going to say this. Anything, any type of advice, information, or education, or anything that we say here is totally for educational purposes only. If you plan on doing anything with your medical regimen, please, please, please consult with your doctor. Everything that we're giving here is just for educational purposes and just to give you an idea of what can happen when you have lupus, and just give you our opinion about things. It's not to be taken as medical advice. Please make sure that you check with your doctor first before changing anything, even if it's a diet issue. Before you change anything, speak with your doctor. I don't want anybody saying that Lupus in Color said to go ahead and get this and do that and do that and do that. No, it's just for educational purposes, and you should always check with your medical doctor before you do anything or change anything in your medical regimen. I have some people from Instagram. Hi from Australia. Oh, hello, Julinda. A lot of people are on Instagram. We have about 14 there, about 13 on Facebook, and then we have about 16 here. So we're talking about which one is recommended. I personally, Diane, got the Pfizer shot. And I'll tell you what happened with me while we wait for Dr. Osbourne to come on. For me, the first shot made me feel more like a head cold. No joints or achy joints or anything like that. I think I felt worse with the first shot than I did with the second shot, because the second shot gave me like a bad lupus flare. So the first shot was like a head cold, no coughing or anything like that, but like a head cold. And I see Dr. Osbourne is coming on, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Now, the second shot that I got was the Pfizer shot, and that one left me with a about 7 days of a really, really, really bad flare. So that it was a little rough, but it was fine. I didn't get too sick, but I was sick enough to be down for an account for 7 days, but it felt like a really bad lupus flare. So before you even think about taking the Pfizer shot or any shot, just consult with your doctor. This way that exactly, your doctor knows everything that is going on with you and you're clear to take that shot. Lakeithia says, my doctor told me I could take the vaccine, but I could not take my medicine 10 days before and 10 days after because it could cause an infection. Absolutely, Lakeithia. If you are on certain medications, let's say like, I think methotrexate has to be stopped. I'm on Benlysta. I didn't have to stop that, but certain medications like methotrexate and things of that nature that might kill your immune system a little more, definitely you would have to consult with your doctor to have that changed. Lakeithia says, so did you continue? I continue to take my meds, Lakeithia. Yes, I did. I continue to take my meds because I'm only on Plaquenil and Benlysta right now. And my doctor said it was fine. I was about 2 weeks out of my Benlysta appointment, so I guess it was fine because of the length of time that I was from my infusion. So I see Dr. Osbourne has logged on. I'm going to bring her onto the screen. Let's see how we do this. Y'all know I'm new at this, so let's get it together. There we go. We got you, baby. How are you, Dr. Osbourne?
Doing great. How are you?
I am good. Now your sound is a little low for me, but let me see if it's just me. I think it was just me. So
Still getting used to this technology as well.
I know. It's only been a year that we've been doing this, and it's still difficult to run. But I'm running 3 different things. I have you on YouTube, I have you on Facebook, and I have you on Instagram streaming live.
Hey, everybody.
So everybody say hello to Dr. Osbourne. She is out of Kingston, Jamaica, and she is here to talk with us about a activity that we're going to have at the end of the month. So, Dr. Osbourne, tell us a little bit about yourself so that people can get acquainted with you and what you do, and then we're going to ask you some questions, some quick round questions for you.
Sounds good. First and foremost, I'd like to say while I am Dr. Osbourne, I identify as an artist and a musician, first and foremost. I attended school actually in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins University, but I studied writing. And to help kind of push or perpetuate that love for arts that I had and my culture, Caribbean culture, I started an arts group dedicated to music, dedicated to singing, dancing, you name it. And I was so focused on promoting not only the physical advantages of dancing, dancing and just community, but also just encouraging African culture, African American culture, hip hop. We did hip hop, we did dancehall, and I really benefited from those years that I had at Hopkins. I mean, imagine an arts group trying to flourish in a scientific environment, right. As you know, dedicated to the sciences, and somehow we flourished. And so since then, I've always had this desire to promote the arts, but also I had this small burning desire, this interest in the sciences. Now, being around so many pre-med students, I caught the bug. So to speak. And I always thought of myself as this force of resistance. Like I'm not gonna go along with the crowd. But eventually, when I graduated in 2009, it was difficult to get a job, I must admit. But I worked in a women's center for a while when I returned to Jamaica. And I found that quite a few of them, while they enjoyed my drama class, they all wanted to be nurses and they were passionate about nursing. And I thought, wow, my family members are involved in medicine. And here are these girls, despite their circumstances, are just passionate and dedicated towards their careers in nursing. And so, yes, I did end up following the crowd a bit, but it was a journey that I do not regret. I was able to learn on a cellular level what disease entails and create awareness, educate people based on my background, based on the love for music, about these diseases, chronic diseases, hypertension, diabetes, sickle cell. So I've really been just taking baby steps. Right. It was quite a long journey, as I mentioned, taking these baby steps, but also trying to educate people along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, what you started was very important. The arts, they have a healing compartment to it.
Wow.
So just that alone to talk about, how do you feel like art can help lupus warriors, to get through pain? I know about a month ago, we did a coloring activity.
Yes, I saw that.
Things like that I love to do. And your whole art and drama background can really help.
Absolutely. And I think, lupus is a multisystemic disease. And I feel like I love that we term people affected by lupus as warriors. On an intrinsic level, it's as though our bodies are turning against us.
Yep.
Which can be a very which can foster this isolating feeling, especially with the pandemic and everything like that. So I can imagine. But what for me art does, art allows us, art empowers us. Art says we are creative beings, we are valuable beings, right? And it helps to foster that community, as you have been doing so beautifully. While there's small activities on a weekly basis, you have like midweek check-ins that I love. I really think that helps us to like just set small goals to see a bigger picture, which is fostering community, fostering that support group.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll have to get you on one day to really do like an art activity with us. Maybe
love that.
Something great.
I love that.
Especially, even though we're starting to come out of the whole pandemic issue and everything is starting to open up a little bit. I think people, especially who have lupus or any type of chronic illness, are kind of still hesitant to go out and be around a whole bunch of people, because we were like that from the beginning anyway. So very good. Very good. So now, how did you find out about lupus?
Right. So, as it tends to often be, the lupus warrior in my family didn't share the news with me specifically.
Right.
Heard through the grapevine, and it's not necessarily something that she wanted to hide per se, but it's definitely something that hit a nerve with my more immediate family members, and they shared it with me. So while I heard about the disease, I was also studying the disease in school. And I tend to gravitate towards diseases that affect predominantly Black women. And so I, along with sickle cell disease, diabetes, hypertension, that was the triad for me. And so, and interestingly enough, a professor told me, once you learn about specific diseases, it tends to kind of set a great background for you to learn about others, provides a wonderful base for you. So I studied, I spoke to people, and more recently, I met a young girl. She's autistic and was recently diagnosed with lupus.
Wow.
Now, after having spoken to her mother individually and then her father, they both just had a mutual kind of a frustration at where do we go from here. It's like, we already know about autism.
Right.
Now lupus, how do we face this? And that's where I was able to use the medical background, use that the need for empathy that I think art has helped me to foster so much, where this, white coat doesn't often foster that, And so that sense of hopelessness that this young girl's support system felt, really made me think, okay, how can we provide a consistent space for education, for these activities that help, again, to remind us that our lives are valuable, that we have purpose, and that we're not alone.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so important. I know just being a young girl, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're going through so much and they don't really understand. And sometimes, like with lupus, because it's such an untalked about disease, the parents probably were not very well versed, but because you had that empathy, like you stated, you were able to, talk to them and let them know, and then get a hope for your own advocacy towards lupus, with having your own family that might have had it, and then dealing with the young lady, it just gave you such a great opportunity to just open up yourself to be an advocate for lupus. And I think that's really important. It's
Thank you so
really
much.
important. So I'm so glad, I'm glad that you reached out to me. And I'll tell you all, we didn't know each other before this, but now I think we're going to be really good friends. Because you know what? The pandemic has allowed us to still talk to people and talk to people all over the world. We have somebody here from Australia on Instagram. We have someone else here from Ontario here. We're in Kingston, Jamaica. I mean, if we didn't have this pandemic, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but we're making do of what we have to do.
Yes.
We wouldn't be able to talk to everyone all over the world about lupus and about supporting your lupus warrior, or just supporting being an advocate for someone that might need your help with lupus.
Exactly.
So what is your goal within the lupus community?
My goal within the lupus community. Wow. All right. Let me think about that. Again, it is about reminding my patients who I may come across in the future, people who I connect with, whether it be on the internet, on the street, even, that despite what lupus may take from your life, it's important now that you discuss with your physician, talk to people, find support groups, find whether you're religious, whether it's your exercise group, just people who can add value,
Right.
add to your life. Find out, work with your physician. What are your specific needs? Again, because lupus affects warriors differently. Some people might be, more cardiovascular. Some people might be more dermatological. Some people might be more on a psychological level. Just find out specifically where lupus is affecting, and work with your physician on a management plan specific to your needs.
And that's that's such an important point. Work with your medical doctor to get to what you need.
Right.
I don't think that people realize sometimes that lupus change from person to person. Although it's the same disease, it's going to manifest so differently and really get to the person in such a different way, like you stated. That's a very good point.
And that's one of the things we'd like to, discuss during the summit,
Right.
just how specifically it affects our organs, and, what we can do to help improve.
And I'm to the summit because we are going to have a summit. Dr. Osbourne reached out to me about a summit for lupus warriors, and we're calling it Diagnosis Lupus. And it's going to be a summit on May 29th. And I know that's a holiday for, United States with Memorial Day and all that stuff. But come on out anyway. It's online. It's going to be a couple of hours, but it's going to be good information for your time. But she contacted me about, starting a summit that we can do yearly. And I was so interested in what she was saying and that she took the initiative. Tell me a little bit about what you were thinking when you decided to reach out. Did you have a specific goal in mind, or was it just something that I'm just going to do it and boom, that's it?
So I think where it started, so about 2 years ago, I entered a marathon, and it was put on by the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. Now, I also did sports back in the day, so I was looking for a way how to just get out of the house and just to meet new people and reconnect with Jamaica, because I'd been away at school for some time. And what I saw were people from all walks of life, just lupus warrior supporters. We had sponsors for the event. We had the media came, and it was just this amazing health fair slash, just again, community of people just dedicated to supporting lupus warriors.
Right.
And so I thought, okay, how would this translate on at a virtual level?
Right.
That connectedness that we all felt during that marathon. I ended up walking and did relatively well, but again, the bug bit me, and I just wanted to see how I could get my feet wet in planning events such as these and promoted awareness. And
good, you can go.
And so again, realizing that there was this gap that needed to be bridged between physicians as well as patients. And also another fact that I learned in my journey, this research towards preparing for the summit, is that in Jamaica, lupus awareness is actually celebrated in October.
Right.
While in the US, it's celebrated in May. And I was more aware of Lupus Awareness Month being in May. Oh. When I started to reach out at a local level, I was told, well, actually, we're in October. So, and I often wonder about that separation. Like, why can't it be a year round? Dare I say, just kind of, hey, check in. How's everybody doing? And also realizing that while we are oceans apart, lupus warriors are fighting this We need to be invested in our research and new management routines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny. It used to celebrate over here in America. And I'm not sure when it started to change, but it did change to me. And I guess that could be a couple of things because we have a lot of walks. And it's easier for us to get around, in the warmer months than it would be in October in certain places, because I live in Virginia, so it gets a little cold. But when I
I'm
was
familiar with the cold.
when I lived in New York, though, it was freezing in October. So,
Yeah.
so I guess everything evolves and changes, and we all work together to get it done. So I'm so excited to be in contact with you and to be able to really, it's just like we've been talking for what 3 or 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
So once everything starts settling down, I'm sure we'll meet in person and
I love that.
yeah, and really start to work on getting the lupus community together here in America and Jamaica, to put things together and to get it really out there for people to know and understand. I think that's important. You stated about the management is so important. Everything is so important with what you're saying. So now we're gonna get a little personal. What is your fight song? Like, what song gets you in the mood to advocate for lupus and to really talk to your patients if you have to about fighting hard beyond lupus issues?
Wow. So I'd have to say that Jill Scott's Golden. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but I remember learning the lyrics for that song while I was at Hopkins and meeting musicians who went to Peabody, the Peabody Institute, which is located close to Hopkins. They're affiliated with each other, and I just remember as a band we connected with that song, and just the lyrics, living my life like it's golden, and repeating that I mean, whenever I'm having a bad day, that song just tends to reverberate in my head. And again, taking my freedom and the specifics it gets into, realizing that I am the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. I can do this. I can overcome any obstacle that, in the case of lupus wars, that lupus might throw against me. And I'm wonderfully made. So let's go.
I mean,
yeah.
I know people wonder sometimes why I asked that question, but you just gave us life and everything that you just said. Everything you just said, living your life like it's golden. You're the master of the fate, the captain of your soul. You're right on point, because I think people need to hear that. People really need to hear that, and they need to feel that, other people understand that they want that in their lives. So that's great. That is awesome. That is awesome. We have some people on IG. I'll just take a little minute real quick. Some people, we have lupus warriors all over the world tuning in, and a lot of people have a lot of issues with like finding a good doctor that's empathetic with them, like you might be, or they might not listen as well. What kind of advice do you give them if their doctor is not really, on board with what's supposed to be going on and they're not listening? What kind of advice would you give anybody that's dealing with that, how to handle that doctor relationship? Because we're going to talk about that also on May 29th.
Exactly. Well, personally, in my day-to-day practice at the hospital, I think I really enjoy meeting patients who have done their research. A lot of doctors shy away from that, but I value the personal touch each patient gives towards their disease. Actually, the disease affects me like this. So I'm thinking I've learned it all from the textbook, even in my own research. But a
Right.
patient says, hey, actually, this is how I am affected, right? So again, I would say, do the research. Some people might, discourage it, but I definitely support it. So one, do the research on a physician who can be found in your immediate area, preferably, and ask around. Ask around. Ask your support system. Ask friends, family who you trust. Who would you recommend? We have so many sites available to us on the internet regarding ratings, etc. And I would also, again, during that interview process, don't be afraid to speak up and to ask questions.
Oh, that's a great one.
Jot down any small questions you might have, because we, as physicians, we always say sometimes the most important information about a diagnosis and how it's affecting a patient comes as a patient is walking out the door. Never fails. Wow. And again, as you mentioned, the importance of finding a physician that can really sympathize with what you're going through. I've seen situations where a patient will give the respectable answer to questions and kind of, but another doctor can just slowly peel off the layers and get to the meat of the matter. So again, empowering yourself during that process.
And it's important you said, don't be afraid to speak up as you interview the doctor.
Right.
So I mean, I know that doctors have the education, but we are still trying to find the doctor that is right for us, and sometimes it might not be the doctor that we were sent to from another doctor, but it might be somebody else that we need to interview and empower ourselves. That's real important. That's real important. Absolutely. I hope you guys got that nugget, because that was a really good nugget. That was really good. We have somebody on Instagram. She said that her old doctor didn't want to give her the official diagnosis. This is Marguerite Spot. Because he was worried I'd struggle getting insured at 29 with lupus. Wow. So we know that there is so much disparities in how lupus patients are treated, because one, the doctor may not know about it. Two, they might be an African American person. We know that disparity leads there. Three, they're just not listening. They don't know, so they don't really help you out as well as they should. So I guess it's important, like you stated, to empower yourself and understand disparities are going to happen. And when you find them, you have to work around them. Absolutely. Do you find that there are some disparities, even when you're working as a doctor, that you might see that other doctors show their biases and things of that nature?
So I would like to look at it from the doctors and patients' perspective. Yes, biases exist. But I think more than anything, it's important that the patient is held to the utmost value in this patient-doctor relationship. We, as cliche as it might sound, we took an oath to put our patients on a pedestal, really. And while the biases exist, I think that doctors, more than anything, and I speak to my peers in this, that yes, an interview might take a little bit longer, might have to stay a couple more minutes after you're scheduled to leave. But how do you find what's the holistic approach to confronting these biases? How do we say, okay, where's our meeting point? Right. That's so important to me in the doctor-patient relationship. And I think, again, realizing that we are all flesh and blood. Medications might affect one race differently. It's important that you speak, that physicians speak to their patients, find out what their needs are again, and confront those biases head on.
Yeah.
Head on.
And when you say head on, that doesn't go to say to be rude and disrespectful,
No.
things of that nature. So, we know that there is a way to be very cordial in the way that we advocate for ourselves.
Yes, respect.
And like you stated, that doctor-patient relationship is really important. And honestly, you know what? I try and look at my doctor as my friend.
Yeah.
But I know he's my doctor, and I know he knows what's best, but I know my body. So it really is important for you to have a great relationship with your doctor and not just think like you're getting rushed out and, pushed along like everybody else.
And again, speaking up.
Speak up for yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't speak up for yourself, have someone with you that can speak up for you. Because I know sometimes I've had situations where I've been just completely out of it. I almost just bled out, not too long ago. So I really couldn't advocate for myself, but I had my son and my husband here who were able to say, this is what's going on. This is what she needs. This is how she does this. This is what happened, blah, 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 blah. So if you can't advocate for yourself, please definitely find someone, a friend, a spouse, or anybody that can advocate for you. Let's see. We have a question here. Let's see. Chanel says, my cardiologist somehow thinks I don't have lupus. Now, I've talked to my cardiologist about why he's come to that conclusion and why hasn't he talked to my rheumatologist about the subject. See, and this is where it comes in, where you have to advocate for yourself. And I would say, Chanel, that you need to talk to your cardiologist and let your rheumatologist know that you've spoken to him. I know here in Virginia, I don't know how they do it in everybody else's town. Here in Virginia, they have a system where they can communicate with each other if they're in the same group. So I would just advise you to really talk to your cardiologist. And he's a cardiologist, so he knows cardiology, but he might not know the specifics that lupus can bring. So I would just kind of try and merge the two together, whether it, be via writing or via you talking to them.
Excellent. Who is your team? Who is the team that's managing you?
Right.
Are you confident in the members of your team? If not, find members who can help support you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you don't find people that's going to support you, then it's going to be hard for you to even advocate for yourself.
Exactly.
So that's really important. What is a quote that keeps you up and, after seeing patients all day long, and you might be dealing with someone that has a serious issue, you might see an 11-year-old, that has lupus, and, it's so hard to move on through life with that. What quote would you say in your head to just make you go on?
Okay, so I would say, not sure if you're familiar with the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo.
Yes, I am.
I discovered her books actually while I was in Baltimore at Barnes and Noble, kind of, and I came across a quote by her. It's very simple, but at the time when I discovered it, I needed it. Those quotes that
come right on time.
Right on time. So it said simply, you can endure much more than you think you can.
Mm. And I think every lupus warrior can say that.
Right. And again, oftentimes there's this tendency to feel like this is unfair and to just be upset. But I go back to saying that oftentimes, not sure if you're religious, but I am, God doesn't give us more than he thinks we can handle. And
Absolutely.
I've taken that through medical school, through my most difficult times, and again, I tend to refocus, look inside myself and say, okay, what are the resources at my disposal to help me to move forward from this difficult place?
Right.
So,
Absolutely. It's a, if even if you if look, everybody's not religious, but everybody believes in a higher power.
yes,
And we know that we're not walking through this earth by ourselves. We're not doing it alone. We have to have something that drives us,
yes,
something that moves us, something that gets us up in the morning. Beyond the issues that we might find with having lupus, or beyond the issues that we might find at our jobs, or with a bad situation at home. So it's very important that you have some type of higher power or something
something
that gets you up in the morning.
motivate you. Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
to. Let's see. Who else has these questions? Let's see. We're going to Instagram. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions that. mm. Someone said, Rosie Locks, I think that's how you say it, says, I feel like I'm caught between diagnosis or maybe having another autoimmune. Do you find that, I know in my experience and in my own research, it takes about 2 to 5 years for someone with lupus to get a full diagnosis. I was originally diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis, which I still have. And then about a year later, I was hospitalized for ascites, and that gave me a firm diagnosis of lupus. So when people are going to see their doctors, they don't know, what's going on. They don't know what lupus is. I didn't know what lupus is before I got lupus. I had heard about it. A girl in college passed away from lupus. That they said it was cancer. So how do you think that people can really just? I don't want people to read so much on the internet that they're afraid. But how do you advise them to like just try and weed out what's right and what's not right, in their searches and in educating and empowering themselves?
Right.
It's
Just to,
hard. It's
again,
hard.
it is because often one click leads to another link, and we tend to be drawn into this loop of just trying to get to answers that more often than not we do need some guidance, and accepting that you need guidance. So one needs guidance in this process. So Medscape. Medscape, as a medical student, as a doctor, it does help to guide us when we do have moments of doubt. So I would definitely encourage lupus warriors to read a little bit of what the doctors are reading. And it's not beyond you. You don't have to go to medical school to really understand some of these articles, to cross-reference, we have YouTube at our disposal. Again, so I'd suggest Medscape, and also Up to Date is a site that is trusted worldwide. I'm on rounds, and their doubts in diagnoses. Up to Date is something that I know.
So is it just up-to-date.com?
And Medscape, definitely, they advise us to rely on those two websites. And again, speaking with your physician,
Always
bringing what you found, and having a little discussion.
right.
Making them realize that, hey, I've done my research.
Yeah.
And I've often met parents and caregivers who actually, when we're on rounds, they'll listen, they'll take their notes, keep their diaries, and follow up at rounds the following day. But actually, you said this yesterday, and we're following up this what you said yesterday, and just again keep being engaged. being engaged with nurses as well as physicians. So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
I understand. I'm typing this I spelled something wrong, but it's okay. I'm typing this in the chat room so that people can see it when they come through. And I think that that's good information. I think it's important what you said, read what the doctors are reading and continuing to be engaged is really important. I think sometimes people do get a little scared, that, oh, I'm not on my doctor's level. And sometimes it just takes just reading one of the articles that, other doctors are reading, and if you don't understand something, just speaking up. We're back to that whole speaking up and ask a question. Don't be afraid to talk up for yourself and things.
If you don't know what a word means, and more often than not, as physicians, we do have abbreviated terms that we use, and it's easy as a patient to get lost in that loop. But again, Google.
Absolutely. This might not be a question that you can answer, but I guess I might be able to take it. Hold on 1 minute. Let's see. Jessica Taylor says, what medications works well for you guys? I tried Plaquenil, hydrochloroquine, and methotrexate, and all three gave me terrible side effects. I previously tried Imuran as well, and no luck. Jessica, I have to tell you, darling, you're going to have to keep looking around to find the cocktail that works for you.
Yeah.
When I was first diagnosed, I was on Imuran and okay, brain fog. I just lost it. Whatever. It was Imuran and azathioprine, I think it was called. And I was on that for several years, but my body started rejecting it. So we had to find another cocktail. And we came back with Benlysta and Plaquenil, and that's what I'm currently on, and it currently works for me. But if you have a doctor that's listening to you, ask them about the different things. We know that Benlysta is the first drug that has been made specifically for lupus in the past 60 years. It took them 60 years to do it. So, talk to your doctor about different medications that you think might work for you, and then you and your doctor can work together to get the right cocktail that will keep you living well beyond lupus. You have anything to add with that, Dr. Osbourne?
Again, depending on the side effects, if a specific drug is causing side effects, to just talk to your doctor. Again, somebody trusted in your immediate settings that can see. We do have EMED, but I find with lupus, it's my personal belief that a more face-to-face interview would be more beneficial. And so that side effects, as well as management specific to your lifestyle. How I find that with diseases, we do underscore the importance of lifestyle changes when it comes to incorporating medications into our management routine. So
use food medication, and sometimes you have to change you in order for your body to change, or you have to change your mindset in order for things to start to change. And that's not to say, because I know somebody's going to say it on one of these social media channels, that's not to say that what you're dealing with is not real. It's not to say that it's all in your head. What it is to say is that we have more control over our body than
we think we do. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Our mind controls a lot of what our body does and how we react to our pain. How we think the pain is the same from the first time. So it's real important for us to really, like you just stated, just understand that sometimes it's a lifestyle change that can also help.
Oh, right.
Not going to cure it, but it definitely will help it. So we have another one. Augustine Allen says, do you get your vision back if you stop taking Plaquenil? Ooh, that's a hard one. You can have some vision loss and vision issues with Plaquenil. And usually when you stop Plaquenil, you're able, to have that vision back. But I have heard of other people that have not been able to have their vision back and things of that nature. So just, talk to your doctor and make sure it's something that's right for you, and make sure that you're getting those specific eye tests that they give to people who are taking Plaquenil. What's the name of that eye test? I can't remember right now. I hate it. It's a test that you just look in and all you see is dots, and it's just a crazy test. Yeah. Just make sure that you're working with your doctor to get the right cocktails for you. Someone said they couldn't do Plaquenil. She's just doing CellCept and looking for a new doc. And that's important. I think it's important for us to know that we can change doctors. You don't have to stay with a doctor that's not listening to you, that's not helping you, and that you just don't get along with it. And it could be you. It might not even be the doctor. It just could be you that you have a problem with the doctor. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta you gotta just make sure that you are advocating for yourself and speaking up. Chanel asks, and I'm just gonna go down as we have these questions. Why does it take so long to get diagnosed? And I'll start with that one. I think it takes so long to get diagnosed because we know lupus as the biggest mimicker ever. It looks like, it smells like, but it is. So we know that it mimics so many different diseases. So if you're not showing the 11 specific criteria, and you don't know your family history, and your body, your blood tests are saying this, but your body is saying that, it just takes a long time to sort that all out. So once they begin to sort it all out, and instead of just treating the symptoms, they start to get to the problem, then they're able to make a firm diagnosis. It's like when I was diagnosed, I had severe rheumatoid arthritis. It started in my hands and my arms. I couldn't outstretch my arms. I couldn't open and close my hands. So of course they just thought rheumatoid arthritis. But as lupus started to attack my organs, then we started to look at the 11 criteria. We started looking at my family history, and my father has scleroderma, so we know it's coming down that line. So it takes a while because it's just such a big mimicker of so many different diseases. What do you think, Dr. Osbourne?
So I would say that oftentimes as physicians, we kind of get in our own way. We're so convinced that this particular patient model, for example, 30-something female of a specific race, this is a more likely disease. And there's this rush to get to a diagnosis. But really, we might not have all the facts on the table. And again, as a patient, you have to can't advocate this enough, just the research on the possibilities. Do you think it might be this? Do you think it might be that? Not in an inflammatory way as to offend, disrespect, but just to open dialogue for possibilities, right? And asking advice. Not being afraid to ask advice. It's not betraying your physician. It's figuring out what works best for you. And I've seen that in the hospitals where a patient's family support system is suggesting a particular diagnosis and saying, actually, our family, we have, I have brothers or sisters affected by this disease, and family members might not be willing to open up initially about it, but when it appears in a younger family member, that's when the stories start coming up. So again, it's about getting to know what works for you.
What works, and just not being afraid to say anything, and not being afraid to just move on if you have to.
Yeah.
D Rose says, one thing that's always a challenge for me is how to know when to report a symptom to my doctor and which doctor to tell it to. Oh, I know that feeling, especially when I don't know if it's a lupus issue or not. Wow. Yeah, that's hard. I've gotten to the point where I think sometimes we think that, oh, I don't want to tell a doctor that's not important. And then it comes, I have a little cough. It's not important. Now I have pneumonia. It's all important. And if you're keeping a journal, and I'm just gonna throw this in here again, because what I do is I keep a food journal so that I know how my food affects me. And then I keep a regular journal to see what my mood was that day. And we've done journaling before. We've done regular journaling. We've done food journaling. If you're doing these type of things, you're keeping yourself mindful of your body, and you're able to say, "Oh, I ate some red meat, and I know that does not agree with me, and then I was sick." Then you're able to weed out when to call the doctor. This way, you have a running list of exactly what you're doing. And it's tiring, and it could be overboard. But for me, when I'm thinking about my own health, if I'm not for it, and if I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to do, then I know the doctor's not gonna do it for me. So, just make sure that you're keeping a running list of symptoms and what your food is, because I don't think a lot of people realize your food can give you flares.
Your food can give you flares.
Yeah. You know, there are anti-inflammatory foods that can help you keep down that all that inflammation. So you have to be diligent in keeping your own records so that when you go to your doctor or when you need to call a doctor, you can say, "Well, doc, I ate this and then that happened." What do you
And
think?
again, I'm really disheartened that D-Rose had to ask that question. I don't feel like the doctor-patient interview should be one of picking and choosing symptoms to mention because you're not sure how the doctor will react. In some cases, you're paying your physician for their professional opinion. Why shouldn't you be able to say what's going on, to really spell it out, create that picture for you, that complete picture for your doctor, so they can best help you to
Right.
best help your team to get to a diagnosis.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I don't want you to go in there like you Big Willie, but you know that you are working together.
Yes.
And like you said, it's a team.
Right.
You know, and you have to work as a team. Jessica asks, you know, of any natural herbs that are good to take that could help our lupus systems or maybe supplements. And when Mika answered, Mika is one of our founding members. Turmeric is good for inflammation. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes I get these how you call them, Charlie horses? Do they still call them Charlie horses? I might be dating myself. And I take a scoop of mustard. The turmeric and the mustard just helps me. You know, so I can't tell you exactly what would work for you, Jessica, but do some research and find out what type of different herbal remedies help inflammation, and then take that to your doctor and talk to your doctor to make sure that it doesn't have any interactions with the medication that you're having.
Absolutely.
Even though it's herbal and it might be from the earth, it can still have an interaction with something. So you want to be careful with just adding stuff without speaking to your doctor. I hope that answered your question. Dr. Osbourne, do you have anything to add with that?
I noticed Mika mentioned turmeric, you know, and I know that often the doctors here in Jamaica are actually helping to use turmeric in the fight against COVID here. So I definitely would support the turmeric as an anti-inflammatory herbal remedy. Also, ginger. Ginger definitely helps with inflammation. So ginger and turmeric.
Someone on IG said black seed oil.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to keep reading and keep an open mind and ask your doctor to do the same. Because even the doctor might be kind of hesitant to be like, you know, I don't know. I don't really know much about it. But keep an open mind and see what you can do. But just always talk with your doctor first.
I'd like to also, reiterate the importance of something that you said. Just again, speaking to the doctor if you have chosen to implement an herbal remedy on your own volition, because oftentimes it can interact with medications. So
Yeah, the
definitely.
last thing you want to do is take something and then you go into a flare or you end up in the hospital.
Right.
So I know that everybody does want to do herbal remedies and not, give a whole bunch of money to so-called pharmaceuticals, but you have to really check with your doctors just to make sure that it's something that's right for you. Um, and not think that you're giving money to a pharmaceutical. You need to look at some of these medications as something that's keeping you alive just to live well beyond.
Right.
You know, it's unfortunate that we have lupus and that, we have to deal with some of the issues with lupus, but it's really important for us to realize that these medications, they're helpful. And if they're helpful, you should continue to take them until you can wean off of them and do something different. But you do all that with, like Dr. Osborne was saying, with your team. Make sure the team is behind you with it all. Let's go. We're almost gonna wrap it up. And let me just see. D-Rose says for the advice. We're always here for you. Lupus in Color is always here, where our goal is to educate, inspire, encourage, and empower you as a lupus warrior. We want to empower you. We want to encourage you. We want to inspire you. We want to educate you and your support team about lupus and about how it affects you. Oh, before I go on to the next question, someone said turmeric, cayenne, and ginger and green tea reduces inflammation. And that was Buttercup 708 on Instagram. But what's funny about that is that we have something here called, I think it's called a fuego shot. And it's something that you drink. And you walk up to a store, it's a storefront, and it has like a little bar, like a regular bar, and you can get you a fuego shot, and it has turmeric, cayenne, ginger, and green pepper, and green tea and everything like that. So it's funny that she said that, and it really does help. It does. It helps me anyway. So
Speaking from personal, yeah.
Okay, we're going to get rid of this one. Okay, we don't want people spamming us here. So, all right. Well, I guess my last question would be on May 29th, we're going to have a set of doctors, lupus warriors, come together and just talk about that doctor-patient relationship, talk about the effects of lupus. When people attend this event that you are co-hosting with me, it's your idea. we're gonna get it done. We said we were, so we're gonna do it. When they come to the summit, what would you want them to bring besides an open mind? What would you want them to bring with them? And just to understand what everyone is going to be talking about and things of that nature.
So we are intentionally starting with our warriors first, lupus warriors first. Opening the stage for how lupus affects warriors specifically, not what our physicians have read, not based on someone else's diagnosis. Warriors and their specific experiences. Physicians now sharing and adding their medical expertise to how it is that in the event that you're experiencing similar symptoms, what is it? What are the steps that you can take? We'll be having doctors from Jamaica as well as from the US, and we will be having top-notch specialists who we have researched, we have reached out to, and again, wanting specialists who are sympathetic to our cause,
Absolutely.
right? Who have the time to share their expertise.
Absolutely.
I personally have been inspired by a lupus warrior. Her name is Emily Elliott, who we've invited to speak at this event. And I think her story is so powerful. When I returned from the US to Jamaica, I I remember how whenever there was a lupus awareness month, Emily was there alongside the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica, just sharing her experiences with lupus. It was in the newspapers, an honest story of her struggles, but also how she has used her talent as a musician. I'm not sure if I mentioned that as well, as a musician. And she's not hiding her diagnosis. She's speaking out. She's out there doing what she loves.
Absolutely.
She is speaking to people. She's asking for sharing her experiences,
Right.
on social media. And I can't wait to hear what she has to share with us. I can't wait to hear what the speakers you have invited have to share with us. And I encourage our attendees to come with an open mind. Know that this is a space that we've created intentionally, and that we really, again, would like to foster a community that closes this gap. Again, oceans apart, but we are fighting a similar disease. Create that space for exchanging ideas, what's new, what research has told us, and again, just being a united front against lupus warriors. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Being a united front against lupus, that is so important. So important. Because we're all in this together.
Yes.
We're all in this together. And, some people probably have been afraid to reach out to me to do activities and things like that. But I'm so excited that you did. And I'm so excited to see what's to come with our relationship as far as lupus is concerned, and how great this summit will be on May 29th. So you guys definitely have to tune in. I wanted you to meet Dr. Osbourne because she is such a great young woman, and
Thank you.
I love her spirit. I love her initiative, and I think she's going to be such a great advocate for lupus patients all around the world. So definitely tune in on May 29th from 3 to 6, and we will send out that information as to when and where it will be as far as on the internet. Um, let's see. Mika says, I love her energy. Me
Thank
too.
you.
Such a sweet, sweet spirit, such a loving energy, such a kinetic energy. And it's so important that we have people like you in our corner to educate, inspire, encourage, and empower lupus warriors worldwide.
And I'd like to shout out you and your family. You mentioned to me. I don't know if you'd like to tell our listeners. Just
Well, yeah, because my son is getting ready to graduate from college.
woo.
Yes. It's been a long, 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 long journey. So we just got confirmation today that on Saturday he will be graduating from college. So I'm so excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for what he's able to do and going into his life, as a young man, just looking to make a difference. And he deals with type 1 diabetes and so many different things that he's been dealing with. So this is just such great icing on the cake that he's been making for 5 years.
Has a great support system behind him as
Yes,
well.
awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Osbourne, for taking time. I know you just got off work and you had so much more that you could have been doing than sitting here chit-chatting with us. But I'm so happy that you were able to, and that we were able to get people to see who you are and to see what's to come and hear what's to come. Are there any last words that you want to give us before we go?
I'd like to encourage Lupus in Color and all your members to keep meeting up, keep checking in, keep fostering that community. Again, power in numbers, and I really think the groundwork that you're doing is going to help that person who is scrolling on the internet looking for advice, maybe newly diagnosed,
Right.
who might not have a support system immediately. But again, checking in on those meetings, you never know the world of difference that you can have in a lupus warrior's life.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Everybody, thank you for coming. We appreciate
Good evening,
it.
everybody.
We want to be respectful of your time. So thank you all for coming. Once again, make sure you check us out on the internet at lupusincolor.com. And make sure you come on out on May 29th for our Lupus Summit. All right, guys. So have a great evening. And thank you so
Good
much,
evening.
Osbourne. I'll talk to you soon, right?
Yes, you will. All right. See you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.